everybody, Scott here from gsystemvideos. Today I'm going to show you something really fun and unique about the G System. How you can use it to use your standard, everyday, ordinary guitar amplifier as an acoustic amplifier. What? That shit's crazy. Let's do it. It's true. You don't need to buy a special acoustic guitar amplifier if you've got the G System, that is. If you don't, well, then fuck you. Do what you like. But for me, no need. I have discovered that it's really all about the way that the EQ is set up and the compressor. Those are the two most important bits to me. So what I have done, let's go into the compressor. There we go. Nope. There we go. Alright, I am of course using the advanced compressor as I am always want to do. Now, if you raise the ratio higher than 16:1, you're going to get a really processed sound, I found. So I adjusted this for a good solid hour. But then again, here's the thing, I'm using a super cheap acoustic on this. So if I can get my super cheap Chinese acoustic that literally came from the Marlboro Miles catalog in 2001, then you can make any of your guitars sound good. Because this is the cheapest guitar ever produced. But it also sounds surprisingly good. So, the Chinese are catching up, people. I'm just saying. Mark my words. Anyway, we move forward. I've adjusted the attack and the release. The gain is pretty low. So this patch, if you were going to be using this one live, which I have, but then again, I only used the G System for acoustic on that night. If I was going to be going between electric patches and acoustic patches, then I would change the gain on the compressor and other effects accordingly. You'll see what I mean when you hear it if you program this into your G System. And the EQ, also super important. Now the main frequencies with an acoustic guitar that can be annoying are 800 hertz. So I pulled that down with a really tight Q, like Stacy Q. You know what I'm saying? And I wanted to go 3 kilohertz, but the G System only allows you to get to 3.15, which is not a big deal. I widened the width a little bit so that I could cover the 3 as well. I'm boosting that one a tiny bit, and now to get that top end shimmer on the acoustic, I have raised the 10K up the Q, and it really did make a nice difference because I'm going through a really modest tube amp here. This is the Blues Junior, and it's, you know, it's not a Fender Twin, it's not a JC 120, which this patch would sound fucking awesome through the JC 120. I'm just saying. Next, reverb. The reverb on this one, I'm using the room reverb, 1.8. Pre-delay is way up there. You'll see why. Round, medium, real, 20. I jacked that up a bit from my norm, and I pulled that down a bit as well. I don't really want a lot of low end coming from my reverb, or any for that matter, really. I didn't set it to no bass, though. I didn't want to go that extreme. It's a fun sound, though. You should try it. Mix 18%. The delay on this one is fairly minimal. I'm going with, single delay, my favorite. And I've adjusted the cuts accordingly. Actually, I want to bring that up a little bit. Feedback 12%, mix 15. I brought down the output level. I don't want the delay to be terribly prominent. You're not going to notice it much at all. The delay and the reverb are very ambient. Now the pitch, this is just because of who I am. I love the detune, but I've minimized the amount of it because of the compression. The compressor on the G System really heightens the pitch and the modulation when running it with the acoustic guitar. It's a lot more noticeable. So I've dialed them back. 10%. Modulation. This is a cool thing I'm doing. Classic chorus. Way down. Almost to the bottom. And the depth, I've dropped that as well. and the mix is only 15%. Now I'm going to play you some kick-ass acoustic with the super cheap Chinese Marlboro Miles guitar through the Fender Blues Jr., but it's getting classed up by the G system. You'll see what I mean. You see what I mean, people? With the G system, you can make any humble tube amp, like my little Blues Junior here, sound great. You don't need one of those highfalutin Acoustasonics. That's just a waste of money. Plus, you got to carry it around. If you're carrying around multiple amps just for, a few songs a night, that's just a waste. Now, a little tip from me to you is guitar picks. It's your first line of EQ, and here's what I normally use. I like the jazz size style. I used these little Jazz 3s for years. Then I found this Eric Johnson one at one of his shows. I like these Tortex. You can hold on to them really well. But then I tried the Clayton Spike. Oh, it is the winner, hands down. It can be filed or sanded down to a nice sharp point, get a really good bright sound out of it, yet still have the control of the jazz pick and the feel, which I love. But not for an acoustic. For the acoustic, a floppier pick gives a better sound. You get an airier sound. Unless you're going for a dark acoustic sound, then by all means, knock yourself out, use the Jazz 3. I remember I was in the studio in '92 recording my first studio record, and I whipped out my old little Jazz 3 on my 12-string acoustic guitar, and the engineer looked at me like I was from fucking Mars. He's like, "You want to maybe try a different pick?" I was like, "Oh, okay." And he hooked me up with one of these. Well, actually, not this one. These hadn't come out yet, I don't think. But he hooked me up with a thinner pick, about this size. And later I discovered the Clayton .50 millimeter, three-sided monster. It's great. And it's what I use now for all acoustic playing. It sounds great, feels great. If it ever gets too dull, I just sand it to a nice little point, and these things will last forever. So there you go. That's a little extra tip from me to you. No charge. Rock on.